Intelligence reports from 3 separate NATO agencies confirm coordinated, non-kinetic attacks are underway against the European Union's eastern and southern borders. But is this a desperate humanitarian crisis, or the opening phase of a meticulously planned hybrid war orchestrated by Tehran? The events of the last 72 hours are not random. They are connected. Along the Evros River, the natural border between Greece and Turkey, Greek border patrols have been overwhelmed by a sudden surge of over 12,000 migrants. This is a 400% increase over the weekly average for this year. Simultaneously, 1,500 miles to the north, Polish and Lithuanian border forces report a near-identical scenario unfolding. Organized groups, equipped with wire cutters and GPS coordinates transmitted via encrypted messaging apps, are attempting mass breaches along the Belarus border. The tactics are precise. The execution is professional. The timing is undeniable. This is not a spontaneous migration. This is a weaponized movement of people. A senior source within the German Federal Intelligence Service, the BND, has confirmed the operational name assigned to this escalating crisis: Operation Human Wave. The objective is not territorial gain. It is societal collapse. The strategy is a modern interpretation of asymmetric warfare, rooted in a cold, brutal calculus. It seeks to exploit the West's greatest strength: its humanitarian values. By creating an engineered refugee crisis of unprecedented scale, the architects of this plan aim to achieve 3 strategic goals. First, ignite extreme political polarization within target nations. The influx is designed to overwhelm social services, fuel far-right narratives, and force brutal policy decisions that will tear at the democratic fabric of European societies. Second, inflict maximum economic strain. Each asylum seeker costs the host nation an estimated €20,000 per year in direct support. A sustained wave of 100,000 individuals drains €2 billion from national budgets annually, diverting funds from defense and critical infrastructure. Third, and most critical, fracture the NATO alliance. By forcing border nations like Greece, Poland, and Italy to enact harsh, unilateral measures, the operation aims to create deep diplomatic fissures with northern European partners like Germany and France, paralyzing the alliance's consensus-based decision-making process. The weapon is human desperation. The battlefield is public opinion. The target is Article 5. The evidence chain leads directly to a specialized unit within Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Quds Forces Directorate 7, a clandestine branch responsible for special external operations and hybrid warfare, is the prime mover behind this operation. Leaked signal intelligence from a Five Eyes listening post in Cyprus intercepted communications between a known Directorate 7 commander and handlers operating out of staging grounds in Damascus and eastern Turkey. The operation has been in a planning phase for at least 18 months, codenamed Project Deluge, in its early stages. Funds totaling over €75 million were funneled through a complex network of front companies and unregulated cryptocurrency exchanges. These funds were used to establish a sophisticated logistical pipeline. This pipeline provides transportation, temporary housing, and communication tools to specific groups of refugees, primarily from Afghanistan and Syria. It carefully selects and channels them towards strategic, vulnerable points along NATO's periphery. These are not just refugees fleeing conflict. They are pawns on a geopolitical chessboard, guided by an invisible hand. Now, at the 3-minute mark, the immediate question for global markets is how this manufactured instability will impact energy and supply chains. A fractured Europe, consumed by an internal crisis, is a weak Europe. This weakness directly threatens the security of maritime choke points. What this means for you is direct exposure to heightened volatility. Any perceived weakening of NATO's resolve invites aggression. A significant portion of the world's oil, approximately 20%, passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which is under the direct control of the IRGC. A destabilized Europe gives Tehran a freer hand to disrupt this flow, potentially sending oil prices soaring past $150 a barrel. This isn't speculation. This is a calculated risk based on established doctrine. Furthermore, global shipping companies are already rerouting around the Red Sea due to Houthi attacks, which are directed and supplied by Iran. Operation Human Wave adds a new layer of risk. A distracted Europe is less capable of contributing to naval task forces that protect these vital sea lanes. The consequence is higher insurance premiums, longer shipping times, and increased costs for virtually all imported goods, from electronics to automobiles. Inflation, which has only just begun to cool, could reignite with devastating effect. The intelligence points to a grim reality. The border breaches are a feint, a costly, disruptive, but ultimately sacrificial move, designed to fix NATO's attention and political capital on a manufactured humanitarian disaster. The true objective is to provide cover for a more kinetic phase of operations. The operational playbook for Directorate 7 was detailed in a document obtained by Israeli intelligence in 2021. The document, titled The Mosaic of Victory, outlines a doctrine of continuous peripheral chaos. It argues that Western powers, particularly the United States and its NATO allies, are strategically brittle. They possess overwhelming conventional military power but have an extremely low tolerance for persistent, low-level crises that generate negative media cycles and internal political division. The doctrine states, and this is a direct quote from the translated text, "The enemy's center of gravity is not his aircraft carriers, but his consensus. To shatter the consensus is to paralyze the giant." Operation Human Wave is the literal application of this doctrine. It is not designed to win a battle. It is designed to win the war by making the West defeat itself. The coordination with non-state and state actors is a key component of this strategy's effectiveness. Evidence suggests direct logistical cooperation between Iran's Quds Force and Belarus's State Border Committee. The same smuggling networks used to move Iranian weapons components to Hezbollah in Lebanon are now being activated to move people into Poland and Lithuania. There is also a Russian connection. While Moscow is not directing the operation, Western intelligence agencies have confirmed that Russia's military intelligence, the GRU, is providing active support. This support includes signal intelligence intercepts of NATO border patrol communications, which are then fed to the Iranian handlers on the ground. This allows the migrant groups to be directed toward the weakest points in the border defenses in near real time. This creates a symbiotic relationship of chaos. Iran achieves its goal of pressuring Europe and creating leverage in nuclear negotiations. Russia achieves its long-standing objective of weakening and dividing the NATO alliance, bogging it down on its eastern flank and diverting attention and resources away from Ukraine. It is a partnership of convenience, built on a shared desire to dismantle the post-Cold War security architecture. Now, at the 6-minute mark, a new critical piece of information emerges. A recent defector from Iran's Ministry of Intelligence has provided testimony to MI6 in London. This testimony corroborates the existence of Operation Human Wave and provides chilling new details about its second phase. What this means for you, particularly for those in finance and logistics, is that the current border instability is only the beginning. The defector alleges that embedded within the stream of genuine refugees are several hundred trained operatives. These are not frontline soldiers. They are sleeper agents. Their mission is not terrorism in the conventional sense. Their purpose is industrial and infrastructure sabotage. The defector provided a list of target categories. These include port facilities, specifically the automated crane systems in Rotterdam and Hamburg, liquefied natural gas, or LNG, terminals, which are critical to Europe's energy independence from Russia, and undersea data cables, the physical backbone of the global internet, and the entire financial system. The method of attack is described as subtle denial, not explosive demolition, but targeted sabotage that causes maximum prolonged disruption with minimal attribution. This could involve introducing malicious code into port logistics software, causing shipping containers to be lost or misdirected for weeks. It could mean using small, underwater drones to sever a single data cable, disrupting financial transactions for an entire region. The attacks are designed to appear as accidents or technical failures, creating a constant state of friction and economic pain without a clear enemy to retaliate against. This erodes public confidence in the government's ability to provide basic security and services, amplifying the political effects of the refugee crisis itself. The defector stated the goal is to create a death by 1,000 cuts, making the cost of opposing Iran's regional ambitions simply too high for a preoccupied and internally divided Europe. The defector also identified the operation's field commander. He is a man named Brigadier General Farhad Montazeri, a rising star within the Quds Force and a protege of the late Qasem Soleimani. Montazeri is a specialist in gray zone warfare, having honed his skills orchestrating proxy campaigns in Iraq and Yemen. He is known for his patience, his meticulous planning, and his utter ruthlessness. According to the defector's testimony, Montazeri personally directs the operation not from Tehran, but from a series of mobile command posts. He is reportedly obsessed with operational security, never using the same location for more than 48 hours. His presence near the theater of operations indicates the high priority the Iranian regime has placed on the success of Operation Human Wave. The psychological dimension of this operation cannot be overstated. The deliberate use of social media is a core component. Bot farms, operated by contractors working for the IRGC, are amplifying content on platforms like X and TikTok. They simultaneously push two opposing narratives. To liberal audiences in Western Europe, they amplify messages of humanitarian crisis, pressuring governments to open their borders. To conservative audiences and those in border states, they amplify messages of invasion and cultural threat, fueling nationalist sentiment and calls for harsh crackdowns. The goal is to drive the two sides so far apart that rational compromise becomes impossible. The society paralyzes itself. Now, at the 9-minute mark, the situation escalates. Newly acquired intelligence reveals the true depth of the Russo-Iranian cooperation. This is not merely opportunistic support. This is a coordinated campaign. A "what this means for you" question now applies directly to military and defense sectors. Are we witnessing the first real-world test of a joint Russo-Iranian hybrid warfare doctrine against a NATO member state? Analysis from the British GCHQ confirms that the cyber tools used to disrupt Polish border patrol communication systems are derived from malware developed by the Russian hacking group known as APT-28, or Fancy Bear. This is the same GRU-affiliated unit responsible for the 2016 DNC hack and attacks on the German parliament. They are not just providing intelligence. They are providing offensive cyber weaponry. This implies a level of trust and integration between Russian and Iranian intelligence services that goes far beyond previous assessments. It suggests a formal agreement to pool resources and expertise in operations targeting their common adversary, the NATO alliance. The current crisis is their laboratory. The implications are profound. If this hybrid model is successful, it can be replicated. The same tactics could be used to generate a crisis in the Balkans, leveraging Serbian nationalism, or in the Arctic, exploiting disputes over shipping lanes. The human wave is not just about refugees from the Middle East. The model can be adapted, using any population movement as a vector for chaos. It is a new, dangerous form of 21st century warfare, and it is unfolding right now. The immediate concern for NATO planners is the risk of miscalculation. A border incident, already tense, could escalate with terrifying speed. A Polish border guard, under pressure and disoriented by Russian jamming, could open fire on a crowd, creating an international incident that Russia and Iran would exploit for maximum propaganda value. This is the intended trap. The operations commander, Farhad Montazeri, is a master of triggering such events. His history in Iraq is defined by his ability to orchestrate attacks on U.S. forces that appeared to be the work of rogue militias, allowing Iran to maintain plausible deniability while still achieving its objectives. He specializes in lighting fuses and then walking away, letting the secondary explosions do the real damage. And now, the latest intelligence, timestamped just 2 hours ago, from a joint CIA MI6 asset on the ground, has located him. Satellite thermal imaging and cell signal triangulation have provided a positive identification. For the past 12 hours, Montazeri has not been in a command post in Turkey or Belarus. He is operating from a location deep inside the European Union. He is directing this continental destabilization campaign from a nondescript apartment building in a major European capital. He is behind the wire. He is inside the gates. The assets report confirms Montazeri is not alone. He is accompanied by a small team of Quads Force signals and cyber warfare specialists. Satellite imagery from 0200 hours confirmed his presence. Not in Tehran, not in Damascus. He is in Brussels, the political heart of the European Union and the military headquarters of the NATO alliance. Montazeri is not just attacking the frontier. He has embedded himself in the command center of his adversary. The dilemma facing Western leaders is now exquisitely, horrifyingly simple. They have a high-value hostile commander, a legitimate military target, operating on their soil. But he is officially registered as a cultural attaché to the Iranian embassy. Any overt action, a raid by Belgian special forces, a drone strike, would be an unambiguous act of war on a sovereign diplomat, regardless of the intelligence. Iran would deny everything, screaming assassination to the UN, while Russia would condemn the lawless aggression of NATO. Montazeri has turned our own rules, our own commitment to international law, into his primary shield. He is physically present, but politically, he is a ghost. The crisis he is orchestrating on the Polish border is the distraction, the loud, violent chaos drawing the world's attention. The real front line is in a quiet apartment in Brussels, where a man with a laptop is methodically dismantling the consensus of a continent. He is protected not by bodyguards, but by diplomatic protocol. This is the terrifying endpoint of hybrid warfare. The battlefield is no longer a geographical location. It is a spectrum of vulnerabilities: legal, social, and digital. The weapon is not just the refugee, the cyber attack, or the disinformation bot. The weapon is the system itself, turned back against its creators. Montazeri's presence in Brussels is the ultimate statement of intent. We are not at your gates. We are in your house, and you are the ones who will tear it down for us. The crisis on the border will continue to evolve, but the strategic reality has been laid bare. This is not a test. This is the game. And the most dangerous threats are no longer the ones we can see coming, but the ones that are already here, operating silently in the background noise of our own civilization. The radar is on. The threats are real. To stay ahead of the storm, you need the full picture. Subscribe to global_crisis_radar, because knowing is survival.